Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the soul of excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
Make no mistake, under President Trump's leadership and this administration, you have the right to worship freely and safely. And if I haven't been clear already, if you violate that sacred right, we are coming after you.
We do know that Don Lemon was arrested last night in Los Angeles in the 11 o'clock hour local time. I'm told that by a source that he was in a hotel lobby on his way to an event related to covering the Grammy Awards, and that is when he was arrested by the agents and taken into custody. It is expected he will appear in court in Los Angeles this morning, and that the charges against him will be unsealed. Now, as we've been discussing, Lemon was part of a larger attempt by the Justice Department to bring charges against a number of people, some from the protesting group last week, and that the judge had rejected that complaint against some of the individuals, including Don Lemon. He had suggested if DOJ wanted to go forward, they might want to look toward going before a grand jury. So that would follow the process that played out, where the judge did not believe that there was sufficient evidence, but if a grand jury did, then that would be the route that the Justice Department could take.
Yeah, that's what the Justice Department did. Welcome. It's Friday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in media. And we have a lot going on here today. We have so many from social media. You know, Rush used to do Open Line Friday. I'm thinking like Social Media Friday. We should just go one after another. These social media people are losing it. And I don't often quote, there's a broadcaster does a lot on the internet. I'll just read you what he said in his post. He said, to every liberal calling Don Lemon's arrest an attack on journalism, quote unquote, where were you when James O'Keefe, Nick Sauter, Nick Shirley, Cam Higbee, Savannah Hernandez, Andy Ngo, Steve Baker, and many others were physically attacked, arrested, or received death threats? This is an attack on the First Amendment? No, it's not. Don Lemon broke the law. Being a journalist doesn't get you a free pass for committing crimes, plain and simple. Nobody's above the law. He says Don Lemon belongs in jail. Cry more. And there are going to be conflicting, of course, stories about that. Liberals are already having it. There was another so-called journalist that was arrested as well. It'll be interesting to see how this case plays out in the courtrooms. It was outrageous what they did. Even, what's his name? Brian Stelter, little Brian Stelter over at CNN, acknowledged that, Lemon seemed to have inside knowledge that something was going to happen. He said as much on his videos. And he walked in. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. The DOJ has opened up a civil rights probe into the death of Alex Pretty. And, many of you recall, I said at the time, this one I have doubts about. I had doubts about it then. I have doubts about it now. I'm not saying one way or the other because I haven't seen all of the body cam videos. And even if I did, I wouldn't know what to make of them legally, whether, the agents thought that it was a threat. I think there are a lot of questions about that one that I have. But I'm also not going to condemn the agents without their day in court and say they were wrong. I don't know. I don't know. And that's an honest answer. I don't know. I don't know what to think of that case. I wish I've seen the other videos of this gentleman spitting, the deceased spitting on ICE agents, kicking a tail light out of a car. Clearly, he had some issues, and clearly he wasn't Mr. Perfect, as I think it was Ana Navarro said, oh, he's just the perfect guy, the kind of guy. Maybe not so much. Yeah, Don Lemon has said he was there all along. He was not as an activist, but as a journalist. That's what Brian Stelter said. In fact, he was saying those words and repeating that out loud when he was in the church. But he clearly knew something was taking place that day with the protesters. He told his viewers on YouTube to stay tuned because there was something about to happen. He was very careful not to have his camera crew walk into the church until there was a disruption. And then Stelter says people should go online and see. I've seen the videos. I think that I do think that in this instance, we'll see what the law says. I believe that the evidence preponderance, he wasn't just merely acting as a journalist. In my mind, again, I'm not on the jury. I'm not tasked with deciding his innocence or guilt. However, I am glad that the Justice Department has moved forward, and let's see what kind of legal resolution there is to this. Speaking of which, America's Small Caffeinated Mom mentioned something to me. What was that team of theirs that won 16 straight something, was it? Do you remember? There was some Indiana team that won, and she said it wasn't since the 1800s. I think it was Yale that did.
The school, the Hosers? Indiana?
The Hosers?
Indiana University?
Yeah, the Hosers. Yeah. And then she mentioned Yale, and then I thought about these Ivy League schools, and then I saw a headline today, and I don't know why it triggered me to think of that. But here's a headline, folks, for you. Historically Catholic University appoints professor who... Let me read the first 3 words again, because that gives you an idea of where this story's headed. Historically Catholic University. A Catholic university, okay? Appoints a professor who calls abortion bans sexual violence. The University of Notre Dame, a historically Catholic institution, has promoted a professor the school previously criticized for saying state abortion bans are sexual violence. They've named Associate Professor Susan Osterman as the university's new director of the Liu Institute for Asia and Asian Studies. And she says it this is a Catholic university, criminalizing abortion results in irreparable harm. And then the authors of the study that she worked with said that they denied that abortions kill babies. And so she's been given a top job at a Catholic university. Out in Arizona, I'm doing other things first before we get to, there's the news in Minneapolis, as Gavin Newsom calls it. There's a Democrat Party official. I just want you to hear what this guy did. Democrat who called girls effing C's. You have to fill in the blanks there. The C word. The C word. It's a very ugly word. We're not allowed to say it on the air.
That the British use?
Yes, that the British use. That word. A Democrat Party official has resigned from his post, lost his job after he joined a mob. They were chasing 2 girls that the mob accused of all things of taking pictures with an ICE agent, with agents. This is in Arizona. Mark Holonak was the treasurer for the Democrat Party Executive Committee in Legislative District Number 12 in Arizona, captured on video, shouting at the girls. Mob is running after them. The mob claimed they took photos with United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents on Monday. This is all reported, and it's, I guess, going on by Red State reporter R.C. Maxwell. Stories in the Daily BS. After the video was posted, it sparked a backlash across the internet. He was screaming at the girls, "You little effing C's." As they walked through a parking lot, closed the gate behind them, they were being stalked by the mob. And he kept yelling after them, "You little effing C's." Well, I guess Maxwell was there from Red State. He tried to talk with the guy. He said, "Dude, do you think it makes you right to scream at women and call them that word, that C word?" Later on, the company that he worked for, HomeSmart, said that he had been terminated from his job. And he also has resigned as treasurer of the Arizona Democrat Party, who did not respond for a comment. Chasing after women. Their crime, they took a picture with some ICE agents. And they get lambasted as being little effing C's by Democrat. Yeah. Did you know, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, please, there's a shutdown happening. It is not the government. Oh, Lindsey Graham's having a cow. You know, they were all set to make a deal on this whole, and Lindsey Graham threw in a wrench. He's ticked off. And I kept trying to find out what it was. Finally, I got to the bottom of that story. Lindsey Graham's annoyed. In the House version, they have this thing. He can't go ahead and sue Jack Smith's office for tapping the phones of, there's some clause in there that they're not letting them sue. He, Ted Cruz, a bunch of others, they were going to sue for up to $500,000 because Smith was spying on them. And somehow in the congressional House legislation, there's a clause that prevents that, and Lindsey is mad. Lindsey's like, "Look, I'm an ally of Trump, but I don't work for Trump." And he's telling Speaker Johnson, "And, buddy, I have a lot of friends in the House, and I'm not going to forget this." He is mad. Meanwhile, he's holding up the works on this deal that they arrived at last night to keep the government open. Meanwhile, what's not open are some stores and all that across the country because there's a nationwide strike. Supporting groups include the Palestinian Youth Music, a movement, the Council on American Islamic Relations, and others, many others, and they're on strike, a national shutdown. Now, I don't know if things are shut down where you are across this vast and wonderful country. I don't know if things are shut down. I consider these shutdown movements, I hope they're successful. I hope that almost every liberal that can stays home, stays inside, doesn't go shopping, doesn't go to restaurants, doesn't go out in public. Just stay at home. Or get together and do something, with each other. But don't participate. And do you know what a great day that will be for normal America? All the liberals voluntarily deporting themselves for a day out of society. The rest of the country can breathe easy. By the way, speaking of, this is all stream of consciousness, folks. Go from one thing to the other to the other. Do you know, Carlos, whether the Lululemons make those things in orange colors?
Probably, I don't know.
You don't know? You don't know. The Lululemons, the ones that you can see through, that have created all the controversy. Because if they have, I'm wondering if Don Lemon might be open for an endorsement package with them. Some jail wear, a jail wear line in orange of Lululemons. He's a perfect guy. It would be wonderful. All right. James Golden, Snerdley, don't go away.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Bo Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
I found, ladies and gentlemen, those Lindsey Graham quotes I was referring to earlier. Graham, one of the few remaining holdouts, blocking the Senate from moving on a government funding package brokered by Trump and Senate Minority Leader Chuck U. Schumer. The top Trump allies' frustrations with the funding package have little to do with the president or the deal struck with Chuck U. Much of his ire is directed at a provision tucked in the House last week that would repeal a law that allows senators whose phone records were subpoenaed by former special counsel Jack Smith to sue for up to $500,000 per infraction. Graham is not happy that Speaker Mark Johnson let that repeal go through in the House bill. He said, you could have called me about the 500 G's. I'd have been happy to work with you. You jammed me, Speaker Johnson. I won't forget this. I've got a lot of good friends in the House. If you think I'm going to give up on this, you really don't know me. Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Anyway, he also turned his frustration on the White House. I've been told the White House doesn't like this, and I told the White House last night, I don't care if you like it or not. I literally texted my friends at the White House, if I were you, I would not call me tonight. And they didn't call me. I don't work for the White House. They're my political allies. I'm close to President Trump. I don't work for him. Lindsay's hopping mad. I rarely see. Laken Riley's killer, Jose Abreu, is back in court. He wants a new trial. His lawyers are saying he wasn't mentally competent to stand trial the first time. They want a do-over. Fastest hour in American media continues. James Golden. So much more. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
If you work for ICE, you, and your mom, and your wife, and your grandma, and your grandpa, and your great-grandpa. I hope your pillow is constantly warm. I hope you stub your toe every single day. I hope every single time you put on a new pair of socks, you step in a puddle of water. I hope you always have an itch on the bottom of your foot. I hope your gas tank is always empty. I hope you hit every single red light when you're driving. I hope you're always stuck in traffic. I hope you win the lottery and die the next day. You. I hope every time you have to sneeze, you just can't. I hope every time you walk past a hook, your belt loop gets caught. You're a piece of you. You are tearing apart families, and I hope yours gets torn apart too. Suck a fat bag of you absolute subhuman piece of you.
Yeah, my friends, the left, still very upset. James Golden Snerdley with you here. We began, it's Friday. We're not going to, we're covering the news. There's a big story in the New York Times, how ICE already knows who Minneapolis protesters are. Or as Gavin calls it, I like Minneapolis. How ICE already knows who Minneapolis protesters are. They're using facial recognition, some other stuff. I'm like, so why do we need an article on that? What's the problem? Big story at Fox today about the communist-connected millionaire who is allegedly bankrolling the Minneapolis agitator groups using a dark money network. Big story. That reminds me, Peter Schweizer has a new book out. And I'm going to have to get Peter. Peter and I texted each other last week. I have to get him on the show to discuss the money behind some of this stuff. You already heard Mangione, guy accused of knocking off the United Healthcare CEO. Federal judge, Margaret Garnett in the Federal District Court in New York says, you can't, no, you're not going to give him the death penalty. No, that's off the table. Premeditated assassination, and that's off the table. When you begin to see these days, most of the time, it's such a crapshoot when a news story begins with a federal judge. It's a crapshoot as to what. Speaking of judges, there's a judge down there in Tejas that was arrested. Her name, let me see what her name is. Her name is Rosie Speedlin Gonzalez. Speedy Gonzalez. Yes, Speedlin. not Speedy, Speedlin. Rosie Speedlin Gonzalez, 60 years old. She's accused of 1 count each of unlawful restraint by a judicial officer, misdemeanor official oppression, according to an indictment. Here's the deal. She was arguing with a defense lawyer. Apparently this woman had some kind of bad blood because she kept chastising her. It's not the first time. The judge nixed a defense request from her and said attorneys are not allowed to coach their clients, blah, blah, blah. And then Speedlin Gonzalez took issue with her lawyering. The judge told her to stop. It's on the record. Your argumentative ways are not going to work today. Stop, or I'll hold you in contempt. Miss Russell, I'll hold you in contempt. Apparently, Miss Russell didn't stop. So the judge had her handcuffed, take her into custody, and put her in the box. We're not having this. Well, the judge has now been arrested. She went too far. She's a very liberal judge, by the way. That's the news spin on her. Got mad. Defense attorney sued her after that, and now indictments came back. The judge has been put under arrest. I think she's out. They only held her for a little while, but they did arrest her for unlawful restraint and for oppression. Now, yes, I want to get to the social media types, but Princess Di hit me to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and I searched out the quotes the first time, and I just have been rolling myself laughing. He's back at it again. He was interviewed. Cut 9. This guy, I never knew he had such a sense of humor as he does. Listen to this interview with our Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent as he's asked about Gavin Newsom.
I'm a peaceful guy. Yes. I don't fire unless fired upon. The governor showed up at a talk I was giving. I don't think he understood very much of it. And I used to teach. There's always a kid in the class who doesn't understand what's going on, and he gets frustrated and then lashes out. So, he made some rude remark about my talk, and once he started, I was going to finish. Yeah. And I also think that it's one thing. He's a Californian. I think he's probably never lived outside of California. Right, to go on the international stage is a big deal. Yeah. And he had to go to Davos to see all the CEOs he chased out of California. Right. But I actually think he was cracking up a little because it was just saying strange things. Like the president is a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
Didn't make any sense. And Tyrannosaurus Rex was the apex predator back then. It's kind of a compliment. Yeah. And
his dino's wrong.
And then he said he brought all these knee pads with him.
Right. You're like, huh?
I don't know.
Not getting the right imagery.
I don't know. Mayor of San Francisco, who knows?
Well, you certainly let him have it. My favorite part was it was like a Billy Madison.
Yeah, boy. I tell you what, Scott Bessent unplugged. Just going, continuing to go after. Okay, we got a lot of Hakeem Jeffries stuff here. Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm just looking at the Hakeem Jeffries lineup. But before we get to Hakeem, because I most of the time now I laugh at him. I see him start talking, I just start laughing. I don't know why. I just find Hakeem Jeffries funny. I think he'd have a great career as like some kind of Shakespearean actor, because it's always, he and Cory Booker have the same kind of vibe. It's always drama. They speak with such drama in their voice. I'm like, he would really be a good actor. You know, put him in a toga or something and let him act on Broadway. Anyway, Abby Phillip was on It's Her Show. Sadly not. They should just call it the Scott Jennings Show, featuring Abby Phillip once in a while. But anyway, Abby Phillip was on, and she was on, I forget who she was speaking to, but she made a remark that I just found astounding. Cut 7, and I'll see whether you find it astounding too.
The surge of migration that's where the deficit from the southern border, which was facilitated by Governor Abbott in Texas, did create a financial hole for cities like New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, etc. I
don't know if that went right quick. The migration from the southern border, facilitated by Texas Governor Abbott, created a financial hole for cities like New York and else. So she's blaming Governor Abbott for the budget problems they're having in Chicago and New York with Mondami. It's Abbott's fault. Because I suppose Abbott sent some of those folks up to the cities. Never once does it occur to Miss Brilliant Abby Phillip that the person who deserves the blame is the person that let them across the border. And that wasn't Greg Abbott. That was Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. 11 million unvetted illegal immigrants. That's who New Yorkers and Chicagoans should be. But then they say they want them. It's sanctuary. Mondami is still saying he's going to steal from the rich, tax the rich so he can give it to the illegals and whatever else to fill up his budget deficits. Okay. I'll have to play some of this tomorrow with Hakeem. It's ICE, it's voting. Jacob Frey still out there doing what, but I want to get to some of these social media women, and we'll have too many of them for the day, so we'll have to put a few of them in tomorrow as well. God willing, we're all here. Cut 15. Let's just listen to Social Media Woman Friday. And let's start with this one.
You guys, I need to talk to you about something super serious, and it's this right here. Burning the American flag. It's just, wallahi, it's a beautiful sight, but it's not enough. We need to burn down every capitalist and imperialist system that exists. We need to burn the U.S. government, aka global terrorist organization, down to the ground. We can no longer allow the worst, most violent, evil, disgusting people to lead us, because they're going to continue making the world a waking nightmare for everybody. So go ahead and keep burning the disgusting, blood-stained, genocidal United States flag that was created by slave owners. I could give two, but also make sure you're doing your part to dismantle all of the systems that make all of these atrocities in the world possible. Thank you, and free Palestine.
You're welcome. Yes. All right. You know, I often play social media types that are these types, and we have more of them for tomorrow. A lot more of them. The awfuls, as Princess Diana has called us, those would be the affluent, white, I'm going through the letters in my mind, liberal females. The awfuls. AWFLS. Well, we also get some of the black women. Now, this woman is not one of the ABW. She's not one of the angry black women. She's just, well, I don't want to call her normal. Cut 21. Let's just hear from her. Thought that might brighten up your day.
My beloved President Donald J. Trump is 79 years old, still sharp as a Cutco knife, and running this country like he's going to live forever. That, my dear, is what you call legacy planning. A lot of y'all don't understand what he's doing right now with this country and for this country, because a lot of y'all have not had the type of parents, or have not been the type of parents that cared enough to make sure your loved ones or your children are okay even after you leave this earth. And that is what President Trump is doing for us. Y'all could never, and I mean ever, make me hate a man that is looking out for the best interests of my children. You just can't. From the Iron Dome to the pharmaceutical companies to the media to the food we're putting in our bodies to the Wall Street investors buying up all the real estate, that is literally providing protection and financial security on a whole nother level. Let me tell you something, sis. Any man that tells you that he does not agree with what this man is doing, run, and don't you ever procreate with him. And Democrat voters are acting like spoiled rich kids who want to be oppressed and from the hood so bad.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll talk about some of that stuff, because this Trump plan with the $1,000 thing, yeah. Prince Diana's going to talk about that and other things with us tomorrow. I asked her today, can you explain all this to us? She says, I was planning to do it anyway, dummy. She didn't say dummy. But we think alike on certain things, because she's been following this, and I know she has. So I was going to ask her about, what's this Trump deal with the Trump accounts? So we'll get the answer to that tomorrow morning. James Golden Snerdley with you here. Fastest hour in American media.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Bo Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush. Now, here's James Golden.
Carlos, at the beginning of the program today, asked me if we're going to talk about the Virginia stuff. He was asking, he says, because not too many people are talking about this thing. And thank you for that, Carlos. So let's talk about it. We're going to keep talking about it almost every day that I can think of and squeeze it in. Here you go.
Of the many tax increases and proposals Democrats in Virginia are considering passing. They include additional local sales tax in all Virginia counties and cities, new personal property tax on electric leaf blowers and electric landscaping equipment, large employer tax, gun and ammunition tax, new income tax brackets, a delivery tax. This would hit you if you make an order on Amazon, Uber Eats, or an order that includes UPS, FedEx, delivery, etc. here in Northern Virginia. There's also a tax they're looking at for events, concerts, an investment income tax, storage facility tax, gym membership tax, dog walking tax, dog grooming tax, counseling tax, digital personal property tax, new car taxes and highway use fees, an increase in the hotel tax here in Arlington, statewide speed cameras. Now, these aren't taxes, but they would include more fines for some drivers, dry cleaning tax, home repair tax, and a vehicle repair.
And the list goes on, my friends. The list goes on. You elect Democrats, this is what you get. Birthday today for one of the greats, one of the iconic greats. Singer, drummer, songwriter, record producer, actor. Became known through his work with Genesis. And then as a solo artist, his career just blew up. So big. Born in 1951 on this day, the one and the only Phil Collins. You know, he had an uncredited part as an extra in the Beatles film Hard Day's Night. He's among the screaming teenagers in that movie. Phil Collins. I saw a recent photo of Phil. He needs right now 24-hour nursing. He's been hit hard. But he still, still sounds bright. So we just want to wish the great Phil Collins the very best of birthdays. And hope there are many, many more to come. You know, after the lead singer left from Genesis, they were auditioning other singers. They brought in so many people and kept auditioning them. And somehow or another, they just said, Phil must have, I don't know the full story behind it, but after all the auditions, they picked him. You sing. It was great. My friends, that's it for the day. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude for your being here with me and allowing me to be with you. God willing, we are back early in the morning at 7 a.m. for the Saturday morning extravaganza, your Saturday Vibe. Hope you'll be with us. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.